Aquaman 2 is finally here.
Aquaman!
This movie was delayed 3 times in 4 years, from the virus of unknown origin, to the merger, to the end of the DCEU, to the writer strikes. Everyone expected this movie to be a giant turd, an amber turd. More on that later. But we and I went to see this film with very low expectations and with the anticipation of wasting 2 hours so you don't have to. We cared so little about this, we were even 15 minutes late to this movie, yo. But here's the thing. It actually turned out to be way better than we thought. It's not fantastic, but it's not horrible either. Awi gives it 70 out of 100, and I give it 60. Coincidentally, the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is 77%. Warner Brothers owns 25% of that site, so take for that what you will. But maybe the extreme lack of confidence in this movie is because of Marvel's constant box office disasters and the DCEU show of telling everyone that none of their movies released in 2023 will matter because they are Thanosing the entire universe has lowered our standards.
Not a great plan.
I mean, this movie had a lower opening than the Marvels, and it was nowhere near as dog shit as that film, if you can even call it a film. Now, with all that out of the way, this movie did have some things that bugged me, and I'll get deep into it later on. First, I'll let you in on something that really surprised me. If you saw the first Aquaman, that movie was flamboyant, colorful, and borderline meta with attitude. But this sequel doesn't even feel like an Aquaman movie. It should be called Deep Sea Black Panther and the Lost Kingdom. Oh, and a special appearance by
Aquaman!
Seriously, dude, Mantis was way more of an attraction than Aquaman. He saved this film. Where his fighting style and special effects made him look like a badass, Aquaman's fighting and costume design made him look like kick-ass.
I'm kick-ass.
Jason Momoa felt like a side character in his own movie where he makes a few occasional jokes and shouts, "Yeah!" to remind you that he's Aquaman. In spite of that, this movie is still way better than the Marvels. With its 2-hour plus runtime, at least we didn't fall asleep during Aquaman 2. Now, I'm guessing its underperforming box office has largely to do with Amber Heard being in this film, and I think you might be surprised by her as well. Watching Aquaman 2 in theaters won't make you feel crappy. Actually, it would have been better without Aquaman at all. And now, let's get to the flaws and things that bugged us about this movie, and also what made it exceed our expectation. Oh, and also the answer to the big question that is on everyone's minds. Spoiler alert from here on in. So after all the madness that was the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, from on the bed to dogs and bees, just how little or how much was Amber Heard in Aquaman 2? Actually, she's in the movie about 80% of the time for a total of 22 minutes, but she barely says anything more than 7 lines. But her every appearance gave you 2 large reasons to pay attention.
I always like bazoombas.
Jesus, no wonder Johnny Depp stuck around for so long. Needless to say, her character was completely unnecessary to this film, and apparently the people on set felt the same way, as she was rumored to be in constant battle with Jason Momoa to the point where they only talked to each other when the cameras were rolling, which was part of the reason why the studio wanted to fire her in the first place. When we saw her character named Mela lying there on the bed, I just wanted to yell, "Ha miming yola, biao jiao ha Mela." Alright, let's be serious. Amber Heard in this film was a flaw, but it was nothing as big as the flaw as Aquaman himself. I'm guessing due to all the delays and reshoots and obviously the writer's strike, my man was practically phoning in his performance. This one was a straight up Thor 3 switch up, where the protagonist becomes the clown. His quick one-liners and dude bro jokes fell flat on our ears, although him tricking his brother into eating a giant cockroach got a few chuckles in the theater. And then, after he reluctantly fought so hard to get the throne in Aquaman 1, to the point of imprisoning his own brother, now he's just bored and checked out from being the king of Atlantis. Well, that is until the end where he tries to jokingly one-up Tony Stark with an "I'm Aquaman" line at the press conference. It was basically like that time in Fast and the Furious where they stuffed him into a Joker costume to replace The Rock.
I'm Dante. I'm Shantae.
Unnatural and actually pretty damn lame. The underwater CG visuals fell really flat with zero logic. Sometimes their hair floated and sometimes it didn't. Sometimes their speech was distorted by echoes and underwater pressure, and sometimes they sounded like they weren't underwater at all.
Weird.
Although this film was colorful, the visuals lacked depth. Pair that up with Nicole Kidman's weird face, where you couldn't tell where the bad CGI ended and her bad facelift began, and it constantly broke the audience immersion. And then there's the plot. Damn, why the hell did I say this was a pretty decent movie at the beginning? So Mantis, still pissed about Aquaman letting his father die, is hell-bent on finding a hidden Atlantis item that he can use to repower and rebuild his bug suit. How does he find it? His good pal hungover Jay Chow slips on a crack in Antarctica and falls into it.
That
don't make no sense.
Yeah, bro. Then some weird snake creature appears and eats hungover Jay-Chell's partner, but miraculously doesn't eat him. 他的酒味可能太重吧. Then later, Mantis, an ordinary person without powers, jumps down several hundred meters and superhero lands and somehow doesn't get eaten. Cause you know, the plot has to happen. And then somehow he has the finances to enlist an entire army to help him in his quest. Where they came from and why they're helping him, don't know. But after they help him in obtaining the magical trident that possesses him, he then proceeds to go on an Atlantis robbing tour across 16 locations where he steals the equivalent of their fossil fuels. For what purpose? To cook the entire world. I kid you not, but it's only when Mantis steals the final fossil fuel does the technologically superior and heavily guarded Atlantis realize
They just totally stole my shit.
somehow that giant Atlantean volcano spewing green smoke doesn't even raise any suspicion. Then Mantis's most powerful submarine gets destroyed by a bunch of singing whales. After that, hungover Jay-Chell betrays the Mantis with a bomb in a bag. Yet the real villain, no, not Mantis, but the brother of another zombie kingdom who wants to destroy the world, merely zaps the now hungover and useless Jay-Chell once with an aqua taser. And somehow, miraculously, hungover Jay-Chell lives to the end, completely devoid of logic. So with all of that, what exactly is this film's strength? Well, as I said before, Mantis, aka Deep Sea Black Panther with a bug helmet, was a standout role, but also Aquaman's brother. These two gave very exceptional performances. She said if you cut out Aquaman, Miss Turd, and Nicole Kidman, I think this film would have been a much better watch.
It's true.
From Mantis's fight choreography to his costume design to his acting, this guy upstaged Aquaman on every level, and his backstory was beyond convincing. Check it. An ordinary guy seeking vengeance for his father, powered by his very own bug suit armor, and an army led by a weird Portuguese woman with too many close-ups and a fake deep voice. He gears up with an ancient submarine to challenge the high-tech kingdom of Atlantis, ruled by the drunken, reluctant king equipped with bro jokes, also known as Aquaman, who'd rather drink and party than be king. Oh, he also has a wife who shits the bed and a son that pisses in his mouth regularly.
What?
And with that, I ask you, whose backstory would you be willing to invest in? So Mantis' ancient submarine, piloted by a close-up Asian woman and hungover Jay-Chell, end up battling an octopus, copy and pasted straight out of Watch Dogs Legion, kicked the shit out of Aquaman and his brother in proper fashion. Make no mistake, this part was thoroughly enjoyable. In this movie, Aquaman saves the world, but it's Mantis who saved this film.
You're goddamn right.
And an honorable mention to Amber's Aquaboobies. They did their fair share of keeping this film afloat when needed. As for whether we recommend you see it, well, if you like a hungover Jay-Chell with a constant hater in one haul, a superhero theme with zero Xiao Cai Hong memes, an action masterpiece with a pair of great titties, then this is the movie for you. But if you want an awesome story, dialogue with deep introspect and special effects, then thank us for saving your money by smashing that like button, and thank you for sticking with me for 8 minutes. And I will see you on the flip side. Peace!